A cross is a geometrical figure consisting of two intersecting lines of bars, usually perpendicular to each other. The lines usually run vertically and horizontally. A cross of oblique lines, in the shape of the Latin letter X, is also termed a saltire in heraldic terminology. Name: the word cross is recorded in 10th century Old English's cross exclusively for the instrument of Christ's crucifixion, replacing the native Old English word rood. The word's history is complicated. It appears to have entered English from Old Irish, possibly via Old Norse, ultimately from the Latin crux, stake, cross. The English verb to cross arises from the Nancy 1200, first in the sense to make the sign of the cross. The generic meaning to intersect develops in the 15th century. The Latin word was, however, influenced by popular etymology by a native Germanic word reconstructed as *cruco. This word, by conflation with Latin crux, gave rise to Old French crosier, the term for a shepherd's crook, adopted in English as crozier. Latin crux referred to the gibbet where criminals were executed, a stake or pole, but not necessarily to intersecting or cruciform beams. The Latin word derived from the verb crucio, to torture. Latin crux originally referred to the tree or stake on which criminals were crucified in the pre-imperial period. This was later specified as cruxicutor or crux simplex. The method of execution may have been adopted from the Phoenicians. The addition of a transverse bar to which the criminal would be fastened with nails or cords dates to a later period. The Latin name of the diagonal cross is crux decussata. The heraldic term saltire is introduced only towards the end of the medieval period. The Greek equivalent of Latin crux, stake, gibbet is sigma tau alpha upsilon rho omicron sigma stauros, stake, pole. The letter tau was associated with the stauros or crux, while the notion of cruciform shapes, i.e. intersecting lines, were associated with the letter chi. The Greek term for crossing was chi iota alpha sigma mu alpha chiasma, from the verb chi iota alpha zeta omega chiasma, to shape like the letter chi. Latin had the comparable decussatus, shaped like the numeral 10. History: pre-Christian. Due to the simplicity of the design, cross-shaped incisions make their appearance from deep prehistory, as petroglyphs in European cult caves, dating back to the beginning of the Upper Paleolithic, and throughout prehistory to the Iron Age. Also of prehistoric age are numerous variants of the simple cross mark, including the crux gameter with curving or angular lines, and the Egyptian crux ansata with a loop. It has frequently been speculated that the cross symbol, even in the prehistoric period, held an astronomical or cosmological symbology involving 4 elements, or the cardinal points, or the unity of a vertical axis mundi of celestial pole with the horizontal world. Speculation of this kind has been especially popular in the mid to late 19th century in the context of comparative mythology seeking to tie Christian mythology to ancient cosmological myths. Influential works of this kind were G. de Mortillet, L. Muller, W. W. Blake, Ansu, etc. In the European Bronze Age, the cross symbol appears to carry a religious meaning, perhaps as a symbol of consecration, especially pertaining to burial. The cross sign occurs trivially in tally marks, and develops into a number symbol independently in the Roman numerals, the Chinese rod numerals and the Brahmi numerals. In the Phoenician alphabet and derived scripts, the cross symbol represented the phoneme t, i.e. the letter tor, which is the historical predecessor of Latin t. The letter name tor means marked, presumably continuing the Egyptian hieroglyph, 2 crossed sticks. According to W.E. Vine, the cross was used by worshippers of Tammuz. Christian cross. The shape of the cross, as represented by the letter T, came to be used as a seal, or symbol of early Christianity by the 2nd century. Clement of Alexandria in the early 3rd century calls it tau kappa upsilon rho iota alpha kappa nu sigma eta mu epsilon omicron nu. He repeats the idea, current as early as the Epistle of Barnabas, that the number 318 in Genesis chapter 14 verse 14 was a foreshadowing of the cross and of Jesus. Clement's contemporary Tertullian rejects the accusation that Christians are crucis religiosi, and returns the accusation by likening the worship of pagan idols to the worship of pearls or stakes. In his book De Corona, written in 204, Tertullian tells how it was already a tradition for Christians to trace repeatedly on their foreheads the sign of the cross, while early Christians used the T-shape to represent the cross in writing and gesture. The use of the Greek cross and Latin cross, i.e. crosses with intersecting beams, appears in Christian art towards the end of late antiquity. An early example of the cruciform halo, used to identify Christ in paintings, is found in the Miracles of the Loaves and Fishes mosaic of Sant'Apollinare Nuovo, Ravenna. The patriarchal cross, a Latin cross with an additional horizontal bar, first appears in the 10th century. A wide variation of cross symbols is introduced for the purposes of heraldry beginning in the age of the Crusades. Cross-like marks and graphemes. The cross mark is used to mark a position, or as a check mark, but also to mark deletion. Derived from Greek chi, the Latin letter X, Cyrillic Kha, and possibly runic Jifu. Egyptian hieroglyphs involving cross shapes include Ankh, life, Ndj, protect, and Nfr, good, pleasant, beautiful. Sumerian cuneiform had a simple cross-shaped character, consisting of a horizontal and a vertical wedge. Reader's mass, tax, yield, interest. The superposition of two diagonal wedges results in a decussate cross. Reader's pap, first, preeminent, dingir. The cuneiform script has other, more complex, cruciform characters, consisting of an arrangement of boxes of the fourfold arrangement of other characters, including the archaic cuneiform characters -210 Lao kips, -276 Lao kips, -278 Lao kips, -617 Lao kips, and the classical sign EZN. Phoenician Tor is still cross-shaped in Paleo-Hebrew alphabet and in some old Italic scripts, and its descendant T becomes again cross-shaped in the Latin minuscule t. The plus sign is derived from a Latin T via a simplification of a ligature for a and. The letter Aleph is cross-shaped in Aramaic and Paleo-Hebrew. Egyptian hieroglyphs with cross shapes include Gardner Z9, Z11. Other, unrelated cross-shaped letters include Brahmi Ka in Old Turkish D squared and Old Hungarian B, and katakana Da and Mi. The multiplication sign, often attributed to William Orchard, apparently had been in occasional use since the mid-16th century. Other typographical symbols resembling crosses include the dagger or obolis. The Chinese and Roman 10. Unicode has a variety of cross symbols in the dingbat block. Heavy multiplication X Latin cross. The miscellaneous symbols block adds 3 specific Christian cross variants, viz. the patriarchal cross, cross of Lorraine, and cross of Jerusalem. Cross-like emblems. The following is a list of cross symbols, except for variants of the Christian cross and heraldic crosses, for which see the dedicated lists at Christian cross variants and crosses in heraldry, respectively. As a design element, notable formations known as cross crux, or the Southern Cross, is a cross-shaped constellation in the Southern Hemisphere. It appears on the national flags of Australia, Brazil, New Zealand, Niue, Papua New Guinea and Samoa. Notable freestanding Christian crosses. The tallest cross, at 152.4 meters high, is part of Francisco Franco's monumental Valley of the Fallen, the Monumento Nacional de Santa Cruz del Valle de los Caídos in Spain. A cross at the junction of Interstates 57 and 70 in Effingham, Illinois, is purportedly the tallest in the United States, at 198 feet tall. The tallest freestanding cross in the United States is located in St. Augustine, FL, and stands 208 feet. The tombs at Naqsh Rustam, Iran, made in the 5th century BC, are carved into the cliffside in the shape of a cross. They are known as the Persian crosses. Physical gestures. Cross shapes are made by a variety of physical gestures. Crossing the fingers of one hand is a common invocation of the symbol. The sign of the cross associated with Christian genuflection is made with one hand. In Eastern Orthodox tradition, the sequence is head, heart, right shoulder, left shoulder, while in Oriental Orthodox, Catholic and Anglican tradition the sequence is head, heart, left, right. Crossing the index fingers of both hands represents a charm against evil in European folklore. Other gestures involving more than one hand include the cross my heart movement associated with making a promise and the tower shape of the referee's timeout hand signal. In Chinese-speaking cultures, crossed index fingers represent the number 10.